Welcome to our Bedtime Stories channel. Tonight's story will take you on a gentle journey into sweet dreams.
The story is called The Little Wind Who Learned to Listen, a gentle tale about a small wind who drifts through the night and discovers the magic of listening. Close your eyes and let the wind carry you to sleep. On the edge of a quiet town, a small wind was born. It had no name yet, only a soft breath and a gentle hum, like a lullaby from the sky. While bigger winds raced over mountains and seas, the little wind drifted between apple trees and laundry lines. Curious and kind, it loved to tickle curtains and whisper through chimes. It loved the smell of warm bread from the bakery, and the way fallen leaves danced when it passed. But the little wind had one trouble. It did not know how to listen. It hurried from sound to sound without staying long enough to understand them. One evening, the sky turned blue like a deep lake. Lamps blinked on, and windows began to glow. The little wind nudged a sleeping cat, buzzed a bit at a porch light, and chased a moth that looked like a tiny paper boat. It skipped along the river, tapping ripples with its airy toes. It was happy, but it felt there was something missing, like a word at the tip of the tongue. Near the river lived an old willow tree. Its long branches hung like silver hair, brushing the water. The willow had seen many nights and knew the tune of them all. When the little wind rushed by, the willow lifted a branch and said, "Stay a moment." The wind swirled in surprise. "Stay?" it asked. "Why should I stay when there is so much to taste and touch tonight?" "Because," said the willow, "the night is full of stories. They do not shout, they speak softly. If you rush, you miss them. If you listen, they open like small doors." The little wind slowed, and for the first time it rested. It brushed the willow's leaves and waited. A long, calm hush spread over the water. Somewhere a door closed. A dog sighed in its sleep. A mother sang a last, low note. The stars began to stitch a path across the dark. "Do you hear it?" asked the willow. "Hear what?" the wind whispered. "The space between sounds," said the willow. "The place where a story begins." The little wind felt quiet spread inside it like warm tea. "Maybe," it thought, "tonight I will learn to listen." It settled by the trunk and let its hurry fall away. In that pause, the wind noticed moon rising, like a lantern in a steady hand. Somewhere, page turned. The willow spoke again. "Listening is how small things become big, and big things become soft. Let the night talk to you, little wind, and you will find what you are missing." The little wind curled around a branch and promised to try. It did not know yet what it would hear or where the new path would lead, but it felt a door open in its heart, and beyond it lay a room of stars, waiting. The next night, the little wind returned to the willow. It waited for the sun to slip under the hills and for the first star to lift its face. When the sky was ready, the wind let itself drift along the river path, slow and calm, like a boat made of breath. A moth, the color of milk, flew beside it. The moth's wings were thin as wishes and soft as dust. "Hello," said the wind. "Where are you going?" "I am visiting the flowers that wake in the dark," said the moth. "They do not open for busy winds. They open for quiet ones." The wind kept its pace gentle. Together they passed the bakery and the school with its empty swings. They found a garden lit by a small lamp. In the lamp glow, night flowers lifted their pale faces like little moons. The moth landed on a white blossom and sipped the cool sweetness. The wind watched and listened. "Do the flowers speak?" the wind asked. "They speak by opening," said the moth. "In the day, the sun asks them to shine. In the night, listening asks them to bloom. See how the petals move? That is their yes." The wind folded itself in the garden's corners, feeling the slow breath of leaves. Somewhere a hedgehog rustled. Somewhere a clock said tick and tock. The wind noticed a lace of spiderweb across the path. each thread with a bead of dew like a bell. It did not touch the web. It moved around it, careful and kind. "You are learning," said the moth. "You are soft enough now to hear small joy." "What is small joy?" asked the wind. "It is the way a door opens without a squeak because someone oiled it. It is a sock found before bed. It is the last spoon of warm soup. It is a flower opening in the dark when you make room for it." The wind felt a smile inside itself, as if it had cheeks like a child. It moved on with the moth until they reached the old bridge. The river there curled in a pool, calm as a sleeping eye. The moth lifted, turned once in the lamplight, and drifted away. "Thank you," called the wind. Then it hovered over the dark water and listened to the river's voice. The river told stories of rain, of stones that never hurry, of fish that dream with open eyes. The wind let each story pass through it, sweet like honey on bread. When the river grew quiet again, the wind turned toward the willow. As it went, it brushed a bedroom window where a child slept. The curtain lifted and the child's breath met the wind like a tiny tide. "Sleep well," the wind whispered without sound. The child's forehead smoothed, and a toy boat on the sill rested. The wind understood. Listening could be a gift. It promised to bring more tomorrow. On the third night, clouds drifted like slow ships across the sky. The little wind came early and rested in the willow's cool shade, then went out to practice. It moved past roofs and gardens, past the tall clock and the quiet square, and into the park where trees stood like gentle guards. An old owl sat on a branch above the path. Its eyes were two round lamps. "Good evening," said the wind. "Good evening," said the owl. "I have watched you. You are softer than before." "I am learning to listen," said the wind. "Then listen with your stillness," said the owl. "Sounds are easy. Stillness is shy. If you hold it kindly, it will tell you true things." "How do I hold stillness?" asked the wind. "Be with it and do not tug," said the owl. So the wind did not tug. It found a wooden bench and rested along its back like a scarf. It watched the pond, where a frog's tiny plop made rings that spread and faded. It listened to the hush that came after the sound. It felt the slow beat of the earth, steady as a big drum far away. The owl nodded. "Now you can hear what is not loud." "What is it?" the wind asked. "There is a small worry in a nearby room," said the owl. "Follow me." They crossed the park to a little house with a light in the upstairs window. Inside, a child lay awake, eyes open to the ceiling. Beside the bed stood a backpack and a pair of shoes that did not like each other. On the desk, a drawing waited with no sun colored in. The wind slipped under the window frame and felt the worry like a knot. It did not blow hard. It breathed in and out, slow and steady. It pressed the curtain against the wall so it would not flutter. It made the room feel safe and full, like being tucked in. The child's jaw softened. The hands let go of the blanket. The wind found the drawing and gave it the idea of a small yellow circle. The child yawned and saw a sun in their mind. The shoes looked less lonely. The knot became a ribbon and then a thread and then nothing at all. "Thank you," said the owl from the tree outside. "You did it without words." "I only listened," said the wind. "And that was enough," said the owl. "That is often the secret." The wind stayed a little longer, letting the room smell of night. A parent's step paused at the door, heard breathing, and turned smiling. Outside, the owl raised a wing. When the child's breath fell into a tide, the wind slipped out and set the shoes to face the same way. It drifted to the willow, carrying no rush, calm that felt new and old. "I listened," the wind said. "We felt it," said the willow. "Rest now. You have miles of gentle to learn." Night by night, the little wind grew kinder and more clear. It still loved to play, but its games were gentle now, like rolling a marble. On the fourth night, a silver fog lay along the ground. The wind slipped through streetlight rings. At the edge of town sat a small repair shop with a bell over the door. The wind, curious, watched as an old maker put away his tools. He wound a tiny music box and let it sing, twice before turning the key back and setting it down. The wind listened to the last note fade. "Your work is soft," it seemed to say. "Soft is strong when it helps someone sleep," the maker whispered. He covered the music box with a cloth the color of early morning and clicked off the light. In the alley, it found a red kite caught on a fence. A bit of string hung like a tail. The wind touched the paper gently. The kite shivered. "Do not pull," the wind told itself. It breathed warm across the knot. It waited. It tried from one side and then the other, never hurrying. In time, the knot eased. The kite slid free and lay flat on the ground like a resting bird. "Thank you," the kite seemed to say, though it had no voice. "Tomorrow, someone will find you," said the wind, and it lifted the kite onto a bench. It pressed the string under a loose nail so it would not blow away. Beyond the last house, the wind found a fox trotting along the hedges. "Good night," said the wind. "Good night," said the fox. "You walk like a story now." "What kind of story?" asked the wind. "The kind that makes even stones feel safe," said the fox, and it slipped away between shadows. The wind felt shy at such words. It turned toward the river, stopping by a window where a grandparent told a simple tale to a sleepy child. The wind lingered in the room, carrying the gentle voice to every corner so the story wrapped the child like a blanket. When the last line came, the wind held the quiet after it, so the ending could land like a feather. The child smiled with closed eyes. A nightlight glowed like a small moon. The wind smoothed the curtains and tucked a cool along the pillow's edge. It could feel the house breathing, the pipe in the wall, the fridge with its hum, the cat turning once and settling at the foot of the bed. Outside, the fog lifted a little, and the stars felt closer. The wind returned to the willow with the sense of fixing something small but right. "You are learning the slow art," said the willow. "I am," said the wind, and it rested in the long hair of the tree until morning touched the sky. On the 5th night, the moon climbed early, bright and kind. The little wind rose to meet it at the top of the willow, where the leaves were thin and the sky felt close. "Hello," said the wind. "I have been practicing." "I can tell," said the moon, smiling with its quiet light. "You have made many rooms softer. Would you like to learn a moon trick?" "Yes," said the wind. "Carry a lullaby without singing," said the moon. "Take the shape of a song but not the sound. Let it be the space between notes. Lay it along the edges of sleep and do not spill." The wind felt a hum that was not a hum. It was a warm curve, a gentle path that did not push. It cupped the shape and held it steady. "Where should I bring it?" "Where it is needed," said the moon, and it tipped a silver ray toward the town. The wind floated through the streets. It found a window where twins were still giggling. It laid the moon's lullaby between the giggles, and the laughter softened into sighs. It found a house where a new baby fretted and a tired parent walked slow circles. It laid the lullaby around them like a soft ribbon, and the steps grew lighter. It found a porch where an old dog dreamed of a field it used to run, and it set the lullaby at the edge of the dream so the field opened wide. Clouds gathered, thin and high. "Not rain," said the wind. "No," said the moon. "Just a veil so night feels closer." The wind carried the lullaby to a hospital room where a nurse checked a quiet beep. It set the shape of the song on the pillow, light as breath. Before dawn, it paused at a window box where mint leaves glowed and left the lullaby like dew. In a flat above the shop, a woman wrote a letter to someone far away. The words came gentle and true. Down the lane, a lantern flickered. The wind steadied the flame, and the light held. It even found the red kite again, now held by small hands. The child looked up and did not feel afraid. The kite rose, dipped, and rested. The town thanked the wind in quiet ways, a door that did not slam, a sigh that turned into sleep. By the time the wind returned to the willow, the lullaby had curled small and gone to sleep inside it. "Is that all right?" the wind asked. "It is," said the moon. "Songs like that come back on their own when someone needs them. You kept it safe." The wind looked over the dark roofs and the soft streets and felt something new. It was not only hearing the night now, it was part of the night, as welcome as a blanket on tired shoulders. It rested in that thought until the east began to gray and birds cleared their little throats for morning. By the sixth night, the little wind was not so little inside. It had learned the quiet doors, the spaces between sounds, and the shape of a song that needs no voice. It waited in the willow until the stars were steady and then went out, not to search, but simply to be where it was welcome. It visited the river and did not speak. The river smiled in its watery way. It passed the repair shop. The music box waited like a small heart, and the wind tipped a tender hello. It glided over roofs where laundry lines were empty and still, then slipped by the house with the shoes that now liked each other fine. The child's drawing had a bright sun. On a corner near the square, a street musician put away a guitar and looked up at the sky as if listening to something no one else could hear. The wind liked that. It carried the memory of the moon's lullaby past the musician's shoulder, and the evening felt finished in a sweet, round way. Back at the willow, the leaves shook like quiet applause. "You have listened well," said the willow. "What am I now?" asked the wind. "You are the listening wind," said the willow. "You are the calm that helps the night do its work." The moon rose, slow and silver. It touched the willow with a soft line of light. "You are also a keeper," said the moon. "Keep the small joys safe. Keep the doors to sleep open. Carry the shape of rest to any place that needs it." "I can do that," said the wind. Through the town, lights dimmed. A baker checked tomorrow's flour. A nurse washed her hands and hummed a line she did not know she had heard. A fox tucked its nose under its tail. The red kite slept against the wall. The old maker laid a blanket over himself in the chair and dreamed of tiny clocks that all agreed. The wind made one more round and returned to the window where the first child slept. It pressed its cool along the pillow and then curled under the eaves with cats and the slow heartbeat of the house. All night it kept watch, and when dawn pinked the sky and the birds began to try their voices, the child woke rested, with the sun still warm in the mind and a feeling that the air itself had been kind. The wind did not take a bow. It did not need to. It simply breathed easy and light, and became the day's first gentle breeze, ready to carry crumbs of rest into morning. Somewhere, a door opened softly, and the world began again. As the sun climbed, the wind made a promise the willow could hear. "When evening comes, I will be back. I will listen again. I will bring night its tools and leave them where hearts can find them. This is my way."